Hi, this is Nolan from Benchmark, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to set up the Nano 7 on Stormcaster or any other N-trip network as a base. And in my case, I'm going to be using FieldGenius for Android. So what I'm going to do to begin here is I'm going to click on Select Instrument here on the left side of my screen within my Instrument Setup menu. I'm going to click on Connect to my existing profile, and if you don't already have an instrument profile, I'll just link to a video in the top right corner on how to do a complete new setup for your Nano 7. But once I have my device connected here and I'm in my instrument setup screen, what I'm first going to do is set up my antenna height. So I'm going to click on my antenna height option here. Within my antenna height, I'm going to enter the appropriately measured antenna height. Make sure you're measuring to the correct mount point. And once I have my height of 1.75 meters entered, I'm going to click on OK in the bottom right corner. And now I'm going to set up my reference position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on Observe here and go Start, because I'm just setting up on an average point. Obviously, if you had your known point coordinates, you could do a known point. And once I have enough epochs observed and I'm happy with my average, what I'm going to do is click on Stop here and then Done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my point. I always like to add a base feature code just to make sure it's real easy to find, and I'm going to click yes to add that new code and click on save here at the bottom of the screen. Now it's going to ask me to set up corrections. Unfortunately, I can't set up the N-trip broadcast from within FieldGenius, so what I'm going to do to begin here is I'm going to set up a UHF correction mode. I'm going to make sure I have my UHF radio module selected and that my correction format is set to RTCM 3 MSM, and once I have those two set, I'm going to click on Start Transmitting and click on Done here in the bottom right corner. With that complete, I've now set up my base using FieldGenius, so what we're going to have to do now is switch over to the web UI. So you can do this on any device that you can connect to with Wi-Fi, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my computer here because it's a little bit easier to work on my computer rather than the data collectors. And what I'm going to do to begin here is I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi network that corresponds to my receiver. So once I've found the one with the same serial number as my base receiver here, I'll hit Connect, and then I'm going to head to my browser. In my case, I'm using Edge, but you could use Chrome, Safari, whatever you so desire that has the ability to go to a URL address. So I'm going to type my URL in here of 10.10.10.10. That's going to bring me to my web UI interface. Within my web UI interface here, what I'm going to click on is my Mode Config tab. Within my Mode Config menu here, what I'm going to do is I'm first going to make sure my data link is set to built-in network and that my working mode is set to base mode. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter all of the information that is relevant to my setup. So I'm going to need an APN name. That's going to be whatever it is for your SIM card. It may vary depending on which SIM card you're using. In my case, I believe I'm using a Rogers card. So I'm going to put in all the information that corresponds to my Rogers card here. And once I have that entered, I'm also going to put in the information for my network. In my case, I'm going to be using Stormcaster, so I'm going to need to make sure all of that relevant information is filled in here. So I'm going to have a host URL, a port, and then a username and password for my network. Once I have everything entered, I'm going to hit Apply there at the bottom of the screen, and that is going to begin my broadcast for whatever network I am on. But for now, that is everything in today's video. That is how you set up a Nano 7 as a Stormcaster or any N-trip network base. And if you have a moment, I'd please ask you to hit that subscribe button down below. It really does help us out and helps us keep making these videos. And if you have any questions about anything you've seen on our YouTube channel or anything you've seen around the surveying space, please give us a call at 1-888-286-3204 or visit us on the web at bench-mark.ca.